Good evening again, all. It's great to have all of us here online on the certificate course handover ceremony. This is a unique 3-month certificate course in medical genetics and counseling for optometrists, organized by Botswana Optometrists Association, along with in collaboration with Maje Diagnosis India team. I'm humbled as the chairperson of Botswana Optometrists Association to be the masters of ceremony today evening. Wherever we are, let us be upstanding and as we play our patriotic song, officially adopted by both the countries, Botswana and India.
The volume isn't working.
Can the volume, please?
Tarisha, you're on mute. We can't hear the music.
Pula, Jai Hind, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. As per the Hindu philosophy principles, it means, may the light of knowledge remove the darkness of ignorance. The reflections of Professor GKM. God commanded light and there was light, says Psalms from the Holy Bible. John 1:5 says, God is light himself and let there be light. So we kindly request Optom Dinyo Moremi. She is part of the education subcommittee of BOA, to play the part of her invocation. Unfortunately, Optom Gosego was not able to be in as she's unwell. Dino, can you start the session with a prayer?
Thank you, Optom Tanuja. Good evening, everyone. And thank you again, Tanuja, for this opportunity and also for giving us those few verses from the Bible. I've seen pastors usually when they are asked to pray, they take out a few lines from the Bible. So it's great that you did that for me. Thanks. Let's bow our heads and pray, everyone. Father, we come before you this evening filled with so much joy and gratitude. We thank you, God, for making it possible for us to undertake the genetics course, which we completed irrespective of the time difference between Botswana and India. We would also like to thank you for the Maje diagnosis team for the great work they do and for the commitment they have towards their work. And we pray that you continue to guide them and give them more wisdom and understanding as they will be working with the other groups. May I also take this opportunity to pray for and congratulate my fellow Optoms for their successful completion of the course, and that God guide us as we use this knowledge we have acquired to help to serve our fellow countrymen with diligence. God, Father, it is you who made it possible for us. This evening, as we will be having our valedictory ceremony, may you guide us, grace us with your presence. Let there be no distractions. Let there be joy and celebration, O Lord. We thank you, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Dino, thank you. That was very short and sweet. What is so relevant about choosing 20th July as our V Day? It's the day Abbot Gregor Mendel was born 200 years ago, way back in 1822, father of our modern genetics. We will continue to share more about him in course. This relevance was struck ablaze by none other than our professor, renowned genetic professor and educator, G. Kumar, fondly called as GKM. Before I ask him to introduce the guest from his part, that is from India, I would want to acknowledge the presence of Professor GKM and his team, respected dignitaries, Honorable Gladys T. Kokorwe, MGF, Optom Dr. Shankar and Ramaswamy, African Council of Optometry President, Optom Frank Magupa, AFCO President-elect, Optom Ayukotang, and we have our main sponsors, Novartis, Mr. Costa and Channel from Novartis Medical Division, South Africa cluster. And of course, we have our Education Subcommittee Head, Optom Maje, and Medical License Subcommittee Head, Optom Boago, and fellow Optoms of Botswana Optometrists Association and also other parts of the world. Professor GKM, before I ask him to say a few words on introduction, I would want to introduce him to you. He graduated in medicine from University of Madras Medical College, and further supergraduated his MD in physiology. He currently works in ocular genomics, primarily in gene mapping, mutational screening, and associated studies in ocular diseases. Currently, he's a research director at the Narayan Nethralaya, Bangalore, India. He was a research fellow at Ocular Gene Mapping Lab, University of Otago, New Zealand. He's also the visiting associate at the Ophthalmic Genetics and Clinical Research branch of National Institute of Health, USA. He was the executive medical officer and deputy director of research previously at Shankar Nethralaya. He was also the research person at Aditya Jyot Eye Hospital. Shankar Nethralaya is close to our hearts. It's also our alumnus. That's a place which gave me the knowledge of optometry. Professor GKM has 35 years of vast experience in ocular genetics in India and worldwide. He has over 130 peer review publication and 15,000 patients. who he has counseled. We have collaborated with this well-known, renowned institute, Maje Diagnosis, and his team, Professor GKM. Over to you, sir, my guru. He was also my professor at college way back in 1989. Professor GKM.
Thank you, Tanuja, and namaste to everybody. It's a wonderful evening today. And at the outset, I congratulate all those who are graduating today and who have very good knowledge of genetics and which they will be using it in their practice. I'm glad to say that we have renowned members from the Botswana side, and we have the African Council of Optometry President, Optom Frank Magupa from Tanzania, and the African Council of Optometry President-elect, Optom Dr. Inauntai Nokonho. And we also have other members from the Botswana side. For example, we should thank the Novartis, and we have the CEO of Novartis South Africa amongst us now. And most importantly, I'd like to thank the guest of honor from Botswana, Honorable Lion Ma Gladys T. Kokorwe, who's also the Melvin Jones Fellow and former Speaker of Botswana National Assembly. From our side, we have our team, and particularly I'd like to thank the guest of honor from our Indian side, who is also a student of the elite school of optometry from which Tanuja has graduated. And he's Optom Dr. Shankar Ramasamy, Associate Professor of Optometry, School of Optometry, MA College of Health Sciences, Massachusetts. So he was kind enough to accept, and he was also my student at the elite school, and he's currently in the US and practicing optometry. And I'd like to tell a small story before I really start to introduce my own team, who are collectively responsible for us to reach this day. Way back, maybe about half a year ago, I had visited Dr. Krishna Kumar, who was a former principal of Elite School of Optometry in India, and he's the teacher of very many students of optometry. In fact, I would almost call him the father of optometry in India. He invited me to come to his home for having lunch, and along with me came Mr. A.Mahalingam, who currently has obtained a doctorate, Dr. A.Mahalingam, and is managing director of Wintech Academy. So finishing lunch, we actually went to a coffee shop and we were sitting and chatting. The reason we were sitting and chatting is that we all belong to Shankar Netralaya. But 20 years ago, we were all very strong pillars, each one of us, Krishna Kumar, Mahalingam, myself, of Shankar Netralaya. And at that point, 20 years ago, we never even imagined that we will be leaving Shankar Netralaya and having our own practice and also educational aspect of teaching students. So we sat together about 6 months ago, as I said earlier, and then we were discussing many things, how to plan our future, move forwards, because we were doing things all by ourselves. And at that point, Krishna Kumar mentioned that why not I do a genetics course for Botswana optometry students, because he knows Tanuja very well. And immediately Mr. Mahalingam also acknowledged And that's how this whole story started. So the real fertilization and the formation of the embryo and its delivery today all happened at that point of time. And I'd like to particularly thank Dr. Krishna Kumar and Dr. Mahalingam for providing this opportunity and connecting us with Tanuja. Coming to our side of the team, as mentioned by Tanuja, we belong to the Maje DX or Diagnostics Private Limited Company. And we have started this to do patient services of genetic counseling, academics teaching training, research for masters and PhD students in medical genetics and genetic counseling. And when a patient or a student can pay, they come through this company. And if they can't pay, they'll come through the trust and get virtually the same quality of genetic counseling, teaching and training and research assistance. So with that notion, we started. The trust is almost about 12 years old now. And the company is just 2 years old. And the company got quite strangulated by the pandemic, 2 cycles of pandemic. And we are sort of trying to survive despite all the odds. And this particular program was a big break for all of us. And especially I'd like to thank Dr. Uttara Sadakopal, who's a PhD, and she has been almost my right hand and a big strength, who also taught in this particular course. And then we have Brinda Srivatsan, who's another sort of senior teaching staff who got almost registered for PhD at the Maastricht University in Netherlands. And so is Deepika. So Deepika Karthik Kumar is another senior member and a counselor, both of them are counselors. And then we have Sugitana. So Sugitana was a very key person who was almost running this program single-handedly along with rest of the members. And she has completed her presence in the company and the trust. And she is now going to Britain to do her master's course. And she'll be leaving hopefully around September. So until then, in and out, Sugitana will be part of our program. And I really thank her for literally holding on to this particular program and running it successfully until we completed the exams for the 11 Optom students who underwent the genetic counseling course. So with that, I'd like to thank for giving this opportunity, and I introduced all the members on the Indian side. And if not for Tanuja, this program will actually not have taken off to this level and come to a completion. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody, and we can move on to the next program, schedule of this program. Back to Tanuja. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Optom Siebelu Maje, our education subcommittee head, please come forward to give the welcome remarks.
Hello, family. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to our first batch of our genetic counseling 2022. There is a famous African proverb which says it takes the whole village to raise one child. The meaning of this proverb is saying that the upbringing of a child is an average that can successfully be completed by an effort of a community of people, donating, training, so that a child can be molded into a successful person. The donations from members of the community are very important. Everyone in the village get involved in the process of raising the child. Moms, dads, grandparents, siblings, neighbors, presidents, all stakeholders are important in raising a child. Everyone in the village carries within them something that the little child is going to need in order to successfully grow up. In the same spirit as the African proverb, I want to submit to each person sitting here for this momentous occasion that it takes
Mr. Maje, you seem to have muted yourself.
hello, family. I hope my mic is clear.
It's okay now.
It's okay.
Yeah, okay now.
So,
Okay, can I start again or you missed everything?
1 minute.
just the last minute. Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, everyone in the village carries within them something that the child is going to need in order to successfully become a person. In the same spirit as the African proverb, I want to submit to each person sitting here for this momentous occasion that it takes the whole global village to raise a complete optometrist. On behalf of the Botswana optometry community, I want to welcome each one of you sitting here, friends, family members present in spirit. I know most of them are not around. You friends and family who are present here this evening, as well as across nations who are watching this live streaming video, I want to welcome you, my lovely friends. The faculty, the Botswana Executive Committee of Botswana Optometry Association administrators are proud today to recognize your presence in recognizing this important graduation ceremony. As part of our ceremony, I would like to recognize Novartis, our sponsor, who found it fit to present and assist us in funds which helped us to complete this first batch. And I would like to thank Prof for your efforts and your group, your team, who presented to us a content which has constantly changed our minds and fully convinced us and aligned us with the current sustainable developmental goals, especially goal number 3, as well as many clinical and community partners who has provided the essential experiential learning. Graduates, You experienced radical changes that you have dealt with and flexibility to meet a course and program objectives. And today, each one of you deserves a very special congratulations for meeting your important graduation goals in the midst of especially challenging learning times of COVID-19. The course was entirely online. And as healthcare professionals, as primary healthcare providers, there are many of us who need such courses like genetic counseling, but you are blessed to be the first in Botswana to acquire this important genetic counseling course. Like Jesus Christ, when he was hanging at the cross, Optom Tanuja highlighted some few things. He mentioned 3 words. He said, "It is finished." I'm leaving you today with words, graduates, of Nelson Mandela saying, "Education is the single weapon that you can use to change the whole world." Botswana is waiting for us, you to answer them. Botswana has searched and searched, and they are waiting for us to bring them the kingdom. With these few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to our first momentous graduation. I want to take this time to welcome the African Council of Optometry President and elite, to welcome our guest of honor, Honors Lion Ma Gladys Kokorwe, who is also the Melvin Jones Fellow, and again, who is our former speaker, who is the former speaker of the Botswana National Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, you are mostly welcome. Enjoy with us in validating and in recognizing this important certificate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Optom Maje, for a warm welcome on a cool evening here. We are experiencing a lot of cold weather in Botswana. Indeed, education is the weapon that ignites the light of knowledge. We will continue to embrace this light and keep on reflecting so that it benefits our patients. Let us understand more about Gregor Mendel, father of modern genetics, who was born on this day way back in 1822. He worked as a gardener and studied bookkeeping in childhood. His findings actually were rejected during his time, and it was several decades after his death that he was credited for his revolutionary discovery. We will continue to talk about him more eventually. I would now kindly request our President of African Council of Optometry, Optom Frank Magupa, to share his remarks. This gentleman, I met him quite recently at the international conference in Tanzania, which we had. I represented Botswana at the AFCO forum. AFCO is the short form of African Council of Optometry. And they conducted a beautiful conference. And the wonderful thing about House of Peace, Dar es Salaam, was the hospitality that was reverberating everywhere. Optom Frank Magupa, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Optom Tanuja. Thank you very much for good words about the conference in Tanzania. Well, I think we had a lovely time together. So your company was wonderful, together with your husband as well. We appreciate that. Now, where I am, my internet is not very good. I believe you can hear me well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So, hi everyone. As has been mentioned, my name is Frank Magupa, and I am currently the president of the African Council of Optometry. I would like to start by addressing the guest of honor from Botswana, Lion Mark Gladys Kokorwe, the guest of honor from India, Optom Shankar Ramaswamy. I would like to address Optom Thanuja from the Botswana Optometry Association as the chairperson, all invited guests, and all the graduates. I am very delighted and I'm very honored to be invited to attend this very special valedictory ceremony. To the graduates, today I would like to congratulate you for this very wonderful moment. In my knowledge, each graduation is a one-time thing and never repeats itself again. So this is a very special day. I expect that you will enjoy and cherish the moment. For the rest of us, we are here to witness the results of your hard work, and we would like you to know and be sure that we are very, very proud of you. I would like to thank the Botswana Optometry Association and the organizers of this event. I would like to congratulate you for this very commendable work. Please continue to organize such useful causes so that optometrists in our continent can upgrade their skills to be able to serve our communities even better. As I have said before in some of my speeches, that optometrists do not only save sight, but optometrists can also save lives. So the knowledge of genetics that you have earned today, please use it to save sight and to save lives. With those few remarks, would like once again to say thank you very much for this opportunity, and again, congratulate all the graduates. Thank you very much.
Asante, sir. Thank you. I picked up few words from of Swahili from Tanzania.
Very good Swahili.
Appreciate your remarks. Now we wish to call Optom Ayukotang from Cameroon Optometrists Association. He is the current president-elect of African Council of Optometry. He is also a Commonwealth Scholar and Board of Directors of WCO between 2019 and 2021. He's a fellow of American Academy of Optometry. Dr. Ayuk, as we fondly call you, I've got a new short form for you, Dr. ENA. Congratulations, you will be hosting the next AFCO conference in the soil of Cameroon. We very soon, Botswana also would like to host an AFCO conference with blessings from both of you, Optom Magupa and yourself. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson of Botswana Optometry Association and the Master of Ceremony of today. It's an honor. Permit me to address you, through you, the chairperson of this wonderful platform and ceremony, the guests of honor from the former speaker of the parliament, if I'm not mistaken, of Botswana, the great professor from India, my own very immediate boss, the president of the African Council of Optometry, all protocol duly observed, not forgetting the community of optometrists in Botswana and the graduating members or class, first ever graduating batch. of this wonderful course. I want to use this opportunity to greet you all with warm greetings from Cameroon. I usually say Cameroon is Africa miniature, the most beautiful country on the continent, and if not the world. It's my very precious view. Please don't be offended, but it's very beautiful to say that. Your course, especially you, the graduates, I will start from you moving upwards, that you've undertaken. It's a very challenging one. I know the challenges you've gone through, we can just but imagine. And congratulations for going through this wonderful course. You've acquired the state-of-the-art knowledge. Botswana is waiting for you. Don't take it and keep it on your shelves. Put it to practice. Botswana is not the only country waiting for you. My president has spoken a lot of the relevance and the significance of what you've done. Please reach out to Africa and see how you can change lives. One thing I've admired so much of your chairperson, Optom Tanuja, is her diversity and open-heartedness. I have known her for over, this should be, I think, 6 years now. She's somebody that is very accommodative, and she never puts any barrier. The only barrier that you can experience is the one you put for yourself against her, but she's a very kind-hearted and open-hearted person. I want to congratulate her for being the bridge for the realization of this great project. It is a project that is priceless, and I want to say congratulations to you, Madam Chairperson, and to the organizers both in Botswana and in India. You guys, I want to say congratulations. You've done so much. I've been listening to your CVs, the impact you're doing to community. It's mind-blowing. Please don't give up. You've changed lives. I am blessed from listening to that. I wish to humbly challenge you guys. Let this course not only end through an online platform, let there be other opportunities probably for hands-on clinical practice, so that there should be a higher level of mastery to change lives more, not only in India and Botswana, on the continent of Africa. I believe I share the same idea with my president, the AFCO president, to see how we can change the optometry practice to an evidence-based one. And it's not only about eye care, as he has rightly quoted, it's all about providing quality healthcare in universal health coverage. And whosoever I've not mentioned, I want to say thank you for being on this platform. You too can contribute something. Our doors are very open at the level of AFCO. I'm speaking not far from the mind of my president. And by God's grace, with all humility, I'm learning a lot from him. And I believe that come next year, Cameroon will be hosting Mother Africa. You all are highly invited. Novartis, the sponsor, please, you are invited. Come and showcase what you can do and win the market too in Cameroon. We will help you in any capacity that we can. And you can permit me to use this opportunity to invite you to be one of the sponsors. Why not? And I'm also inviting everybody, the lecturer, the academic of this great program. Please, let's see how we can collaborate to impact further. We are very open. Cameroon is waiting for you. And I hope that with the mentoring I'm getting from the president, come next year, July, I'll be privileged to start piloting the ship of AFCO with his kind guidance and mentorship and advice to see how we can continue in the great works that he had begun, to see how we can advance optometry. Forgive me, I may talk. I can talk from now to tomorrow, but I don't want to steal the show. Enjoy this wonderful ceremony. Congratulations to you, especially the graduates. I can't wait to see you put into practice what you've learned. Merci beaucoup in French. And my Swahili is under training. I want to say, Hassan, is it Hassan? Mr. President, help me here. Thank you very much, and enjoy the whole program. Thank you.
Asante sana.
Yes, thank
you're
you.
right. It's a
Thank you.
feel very humbled, Optom Ayuk, with your kind words. We definitely look forward to seeing your beautiful country. Some of our Optoms did visit your country because of the bridging course which was created. People who have done their diploma have a lateral entry system in your country to upgrade their knowledge. Thank you for that. That's one of its kind among the very few African countries. So we appreciate that. We will certainly put all the principles to practice and ensure that our patients are taken care and the lives of patients are also taken care, as both of you have mentioned. Back to about Gregor Mendel. He was basically a German scientist who had a lot of experiments done on pea plants, which discovered how hereditary characteristics can be transferred from one generation to the other. Very interestingly, Gregor Mendel was a student of the famous Austrian physicist Doppler. I'm sure all those who have done the physics would know the Doppler effect. And here we go. Who do we have here? Dr. R.Krishna Kumar, former principal of Elite School of Optometry, freelance optometrist, advisory on the Optometry Council of India and Optometric Association of Tamil Nanbargal. He loves to bring geriatric eye care at the doorsteps. Dr. KK, he's popularly known as, right from our college days as my classmate of batch 4, we were called BOFOs. He is very well known to some of us at BOA who attended the Dr. Rejoice Memorial Refresher course. He gave us a talk on glaucoma as our international speaker. And what is great about him is humbleness. He's very humble, spiritual, and gentle. No wonder he's all ready to bring geriatrics at the doorsteps. Dr. Krishna Kumar, please come forward to say a few remarks.
Thank you, Tanuja Khan. I think I'm extremely happy, and I think on behalf of optometry fraternity, I would like to thank Maje for not only helping and educating Indian optometrists, but also Botswana, and no doubt he's going to be traveling online to many other countries, targeting many optometrists to bring in unique service to their own patients. I take this opportunity also congratulate the new graduates, and only one key message that I would like to give through this forum. I no doubt, I think AFCO is doing phenomenally well, and I really impressed with the previous speakers and their vision they have for their service towards the patient. Now, I think we have gone through both Indian optometrists, some of us, as well as the African optometrists. What should be the next thing? Of course, as President-elect told, there should be some more hands-on or experience so that we can start applying into our practice. I think this is where I think we should continue to collaborate with Maje and ask them to help us to form a practice guideline so that we can see how it can align with our definition of optometrist or the job as we are allowed to do. So I'm trying to see this as a primary eye care person, as well as where we need to promote and prevent predominant of the eye condition. I see there is a huge opportunity to align the genetic knowledge we do have in educating the patient and the family. So I'm just trying to stress upon, is there any role that as an optometrist that we can really play on promotive care so that you try to bring in a lot of awareness among the public, both in India and thing as optometrists by gaining this knowledge. and slowly see in the second phase, get into understanding the preventive care, collaborate with some of the genetic experts, and see how we can really bring in a change in various lives. The two things that we need to focus, I was just thinking that we are more into genetic counseling for more of the Mendelian's diseases or one gene disease. But what about this complex condition, which as optometrists we were more interested in? For example, myopia is increasing. Is there anything that we can do alongside with this genetic expert and see in the clinical practice that we can bring in, apart from what we are doing in terms of controlling the myopia and so on? With this trigger points, I would once again congratulate Botswana Optometric Association. Wonderful years in future to contribute towards the patients, not only in Botswana and throughout the African country. Thank you and congratulate and graduates.
Thank you very much, Dr. KK. You always are a source of inspiration. I remember very well when we were way back at the school, I started getting interest in doing psychology because you started doing psychology course, and I was able to complete the course. And today we are, as Botswana, as people from Botswana, were able to complete the genetic course because of your source of inspiration. Thank you again. I think I just scuffled the schedule of the program. I was supposed to have allowed Professor GKM to give a course briefing about the course introduction. The reason being, I just scuffled because our AFCO president was earlier mentioning that he's going, he was losing connectivity. So after Mr. Mahalingam, I would request Professor GKM to give the course introduction, and then we can rope in the medical head of Novartis to speak few words. Mr. Mahalingam, you are also a very close friend. I always can correlate you and KK as the sugar and the base of the DNA helix. You have also called your academy as Twin Business Management, Twin Tech Business Management Solutions. You're the president for Healthcare Management Professions. You are an educationalist, strategist, and medical social activist. You were formerly working with Shankar Eye Hospital over 30 years, and you have vast experience in management solutions as well as in medical field. So, Mr. Mahalingam, please come forward to say a few remarks.
Thank you, madam. Warm greetings from FinTech Academy, Chennai. I'm extremely happy to be participate this international genetic certificate course conducted by Maje and BOA on the happy occasion of the father of genetics, Mental. I am extremely happy to inform you that I am also a student of Dr. Kumar sir, and also worked with him over 25 years at Shankar. And Dr. R.Krishna Kumar, he also my teacher during my program in the year 1990 at Shankar, and he is like my brother and his mentor too. This genetic course is very, very important for all the people, and all the participants of this program had a great opportunity to learn the expert Dr. Kumar, our teacher. Our sincere thanks for all the organizing members from both sides, India and Botswana. I think this is the first international course between my genetics and Botswana Optometry Association. Thanks to Madam Tanuja for coordinating this course very effectively from that side, and she is connecting from both India and Botswana for this particular course. I'd like to congratulate for all the participants for completing this the first international genetic certificate course. And now you are called alumni of My Genetics in India. So Dr. Kumar sir is a hand-holding person. And whenever you have any doubt, okay, not now, after 10 years, after 5 years, during your practice, always connect Dr. Kumar sir. That is a specialty of Dr. Kumar sir. And I also thank the sponsor of this program, Novartis, on behalf of our both sides. And extremely happy to be part of this program. And in future, many more such program will do. Thanks to both sides. Congratulations for the graduates of this international program today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalingam. We see you doing a lot of awareness programs. I'm sure you will come up with some articles related to genetic awareness creation too. That's quite lovely to know. Most of the important contribution of Sir Gregor Mendel was of dominance and recessive gene. And he's famously known for his laws of Mendelian inheritance. And we look upon our own professor here, Professor Dr. GKM. Sir, please come again and give us a few outlines of the course from My Gene Diagnosis, please.
Thank you, Tanuja. I should have given this introduction of the course much earlier. In fact, when I was talking with Dr. Krishna Kumar, he provided to me a syllabus of teaching genetics to optometrists in the US. So with that template, we designed, me and Dr. Uttara, designed this course for the Bachelors of Optometry, the Botswana Optometry Association. And therefore, this is based on how the American system for teaching genetics to the optometry graduates there was done. So therefore, it has a lot of credibility. So how we structured the course was that it's not that the graduates of optometry would have a very good knowledge of genetics, and therefore we had to integrate basics of genetics. So we therefore started with very basic level of teaching genetics to the students, starting from DNA, the double helix structure, the gene, the mutation. So therefore, Deepika and Brinda, Siddhika, all of them started from a very basic, and also that not only teaching medical genetics to the students, but also teaching them basic genetic counseling skills, and therefore how to take a pedigree. So therefore we started at a very basic level, and as Tanuja mentioned, we ran it for 3 months, which almost 3 hours course teaching schedule every week. So therefore from there we went into clinical genetics of how to diagnose some of the ophthalmic disorders which are genetic in nature. And then looking at the molecular genetics of how actually a DNA defect can cause a sign and symptom in a patient, and therefore cause visual impairment or blindness eventually. So from there we went into genetic counseling and taught about the skills, and also spoke about how they should be handled, particularly in situations where they want to have another child without the genetic eye problem. And also that at the same time, they were taught about how to order for a genetic test. Okay, this is a very, very complicated situation at this point of time, because the genetic mutations are not of a single kind. Okay, there are particular variety of mutations that can happen, from micro deletions to major deletions to one letter change of mutation and copy number variations and so on. So therefore, we went to a very advanced level from a very basic level and kept the entire course very interactive. And that is one of the most important thing. And we really found that the students who undertook this course were very receptive, very interactive. Initially, they were a bit reluctant, but as the course started to run and they started to become familiar with us, they became very interactive, which was very nice. And therefore, to summarize the course, we started from very basic level and went to a very advanced level. And also we mentioned to them that they can start to take pedigrees in their optometry clinic and also talk about genetics. And if some of the patients need specific help regarding their future generations and interpreting results, particularly genetic results. So we said that we're always available to help them so that their patients are provided the right ophthalmic care at the highest level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for not only giving a briefing about the course introduction. My apologies for scuffling the arrangement. It's because one of the presenters had problems with the connectivity. We thoroughly enjoyed your class and the team, of course, supported by Madam Brenda and others. And initially, yes, we did take some time to absorb and understand the depth of it, and we understand how deep the genetics could be. And later on, we realized that it was as simple. It was very simple to uncoil it like the double helix structure of DNA. I wish to call now the medical head of Novartis to say a few remarks. All of us have been thanking Novartis for their generous contribution for the entire course of all the 46 members who will be taken through the course in 3 batches. Each batch would have number of 15. And Chanel Pillai, you're also here. You're the medical license office of SA, officer for the SA cluster, Novartis division. You even visited to me, you started with a conference call, and then you visited us personally also when you traveled to Botswana. And we had very good interactions, and you ensured that you mediated and ensured that we get the funds. We appreciate that, Dr. Costa. We also connected with you and we shared a lot of documents before the funding was released. Please come forward to say a few remarks.
Thank you, Tanisha. So thanks very much. And I'm here in place of my boss, Mr. Vincent Rosigno, who unfortunately could not make this forum. But it is indeed an honor for myself and also for, like you mentioned, Tanisha, Chanel and Adnan from the Novartis Medical Affairs team, who actually realized the needs of the village child, like what Mr. Maje said. Upfront, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the guest of honor, Kokorwe, executive members of the African Council of Optometry and the Botswana Optometrist Association, respected professors and academics amongst us, our graduates of the day, and distinguished guests, all protocol observed. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the BOA, or the Botswana Optometrist Association, for this momentous occasion. And it is indeed an opportunity for me to also congratulate the graduates of the day on actually achieving this first milestone. We look forward to progress as we go ahead. I would like to reiterate our willingness to support any such potential collaborations in future. I would like to point at this point as well that I was in Botswana just a week ago and did have kind of fruitful discussions with a director of the health services, Miss Alice Lehasa, and it is really heartening to realize that Botswana is pulling ahead and in unison, actually, to try and drive the needs of patients, especially towards avoidable blindness and eye health. It is with such initiatives that we actually see a future for Botswana, and so that our patients can see the light literally and also in the sense of the Bible, like you mentioned up front. As Novartis, we value deeply the impact that the partnerships have, especially when it comes to our mandate of improving and extending people's lives through our solutions and interventions. So there are three broad levels of partnerships that we look at and that we will be really open to further collaborations. Firstly, if we have effective screening and awareness activities, we are not only going to actually have people presenting earlier to services, but also we are going to be able to quantify our burden and plan better in respect of where do we place our resources and where do we play. Secondly, we need empowerment of carers, and an activity like this noble initiative that the BOA has initiated is just one of the many examples that will actually will lead to us having better structures as far as knowledge and infrastructure is concerned, so that whoever patients that we have actually alerted to their needs can actually get care. The third, and not the least in any way, is actually looking at how do we link this to care. When we have people that know and present earlier, what is it that they get at the end? And it is in this spirit that I would like to call upon all stakeholders on this platform and those that might listen later to say, we are always listening and we are always going to be willing collaborators when it comes to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me close by reiterating our honor to be part of this program and congratulate each and every one of you for all the selfless commitment that you have made and that you have exerted yourself before, through the pandemic, and even now to ensuring that there is better services in the eye care in Botswana and beyond. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your collaboration and your continuous support in the future also, sir. Now I request Optom Boago Moditsane, BOA Medical License Subcommittee Head, and also our course candidate to share his experience as a candidate while the course was conducted. For your kind information, Mr. Boago is the oldest optometrist or the senior most optometrist or the first optometrist in the country. And he was instrumental in getting the scope of optometry approved by the Botswana Health Professional Council while he was heading the council at some point, and he owns his own private practice, eye care optometrist. Over to you, sir, Mr. Boago.
Thank you, Tanuja. Good evening to everybody. Let me first of all note the presence of our guest of honor, Kokorwe, who used to be the Speaker to the National Assembly, and also acknowledge the presence of our invited guests and the presence of our Professor GKM, who has given us this unique information that we will cherish forever in our lives. Mine is just a very simple task to share with you what we have gained through this exercise that was done. Genetic counseling is a client-centered communication process with the aim of helping patients understand, adapt, and adjust to medical or psychosocial consequences that are related to genetics. So, looking at that broad definition, the competencies that are expected from somebody who acquires the skill are as follows. To be able to assess an individual's risk of genetic disorder, prepare individual for genetic testing, communicate the results thereof to the patient, prepare and support the individual to contact their relatives who are at risk of the same disease. So these 4 pillars in terms of competencies we have gained through the training that we have gone through over the last 3 months. We were taught basic principles of genetics, including genetics code, mutation types, genetic disorders, single gene disorders, chromosomal disorder, mitochondrial disorder, and complex disorders. We are also taught how to do an expanded history taking that often has to stretch beyond a minimum of 3 generations so that we can construct a pedigree. We also were taught diagnostic techniques and how to interpret the results. So these elements of training that we were given were so that we can strengthen the competencies that I've outlined above. At the end of it all, we are taught how to communicate and counsel the members or the patients that we work with, how to communicate the results to them so that they can be able to know how to handle the conditions that they have. So relevance to optometry. Genetic counseling is very relevant to optometry because there are many ophthalmic hereditary disorders. So the skill that we have acquired through this training will enable us to be able to close the gap that has existed in this line of care. In terms of patient care, counseling is paramount because it helps to remove unrealistic expectations and prepare the patient to be able to deal with what they have. Most of these conditions, they are not treatable. So it prepares the patients to be able to adapt and be able to live and even maybe able to make informed decisions, like what Prof has said when it comes to children bearing, and in some areas when it comes to occupation also, it helps guide the person to know, or with the condition that I have, what kind of occupations can I go into. So we really want to appreciate the organizers of the program because we have really attained a skill that nobody can take away from us. From the regulatory point of view, a good professional is the one who keeps themselves abreast with the developments of managing the conditions that they deal with throughout their lifetime. So this we see as part of that professionalism that we continuously develop, and genetics is the in thing. And having attained this, we believe that will add value to our care in the environment of Botswana. And we appreciate all the contributors to this, the sponsors and our lecturers. And most of all, our colleague optometrists who participated in the training. Initially, yes, we were a little bit apprehensive in terms of being interactive, but as time went on, we started to relax and we were able to interact and realize that you can only learn by making mistakes. And we contributed well. Thank you very much. Thank you for this good opportunity.
Appreciate
Thank you.
your testimonial, sir. You have been the unified voice of all the people who attended the course, all the 12 people who attended the course. We much appreciated. As you rightly said, we have to keep abreast of the knowledge and also share the knowledge. We did once like that recently on on the 13th of June, when we had the International Albinism Day, Professor GKM could further share his knowledge on creating awareness on genetics and importance of counseling during the commemoration. And from thereafter, we will continue to take his footsteps in spreading the knowledge and creating awareness. Where do I start about the daughter of the soil, a true patriotic heroine, a citizen par excellence who was born on the same year of Indian independence, 1947. She rose up the ladder of her giant life through dynamism, hard work, and commitment. In 1999, she was elected to the National Assembly as the Assistant Minister of Ministry of Local Government and appointed by our former President, Sir Festus Mogai, until 2004. She then served as the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, becoming the first lady holding the position from 2004 to 2008, when former President Sir Seretse Khama appointed her as the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture until 2009. She was later called for diplomatic service, becoming Botswana's High Commissioner to the Republic of Zimbabwe until 2014. After this, she returned to the Parliament as the Speaker of the National Assembly from November 2014. And she became the first parliamentarian in Botswana history to have a private member's bill enacted into law. She also successively tabled the Domestic Violence Act that passed into law in 2008. She has been awarded the Presidential Order of Honor. She is also the recipient of the Melvin Jones Fellowship of the highest humanitarian award from the Lions Club International, USA. She is a lion at heart. She's a very generous person and closely associated with many of the Lions projects, be it tree plantation or the winter blanket donation, which she did a few weeks ago. She's very close to our hearts. She's a mother. She's a legend. Our living legend, Ma Kokorwe. Honorable Lion Ma Kokorwe, an enormous soul worth celebrating for. I humbly request our guest of honor, Honorable Ma Kokorwe, to give her address to us.
I'm humbled. Thank you, Director of Ceremonies, Optom Tanuja, Lion Tanuja, Associate Professor of Optometry, School of Optometry, Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Mr. Shankar Ramaswamy, OD, PhD, FAAO. The President, African Council of Optometry, Optom Frank Magupa. Now you say you don't know Swahili. Otherwise, I was going to say to you, habari gani, nzuri sana. President-elect, African Council of Optometry, Optom, Ayukotang. Director, Maje DX, Professor Kumar, MD. Former principal of Elite School of Optometry and freelance optometrist, Optom R.Krishna, Kumar. Director, Twin Tech Business Academy and medical social activist, Mr. A.Mahalingam. Ladies and gentlemen, Botswana Optometrist Association, BOA, is a non-governmental, non-profit organization that is registered with the Registrar of Society since 26 March 2012. It represents both opticians and optometrists who are registered with the Botswana Health Professions Council and are currently practicing in Botswana. It encourages its members to practice the highest standard of eye care services in Botswana. BOA acts as a representative body of the opticians and optometrists in their dealings with governmental bodies like Ministry of Health, Botswana Health Professions Council, medical insurance providers, Botswana Confederation of Commerce, Industry and Manpower, Botswana Medical Regulatory Body, and other relevant organizations. It also provides charitable eye care services to benefit Botswana. That includes free vision screening, free management of certain eye conditions, provision of spectacles, and provision of educative materials to promote eye care awareness and prevent blindness. BOA, ladies and gentlemen, that represents its 45 members, continues to be in good standing at the African Council of Optometry and the World Council of Optometry, the international bodies that BOA is affiliated to. BOA leadership has been nominated as the Public Health Committee chairperson, with their executive individual member representation at the different committees of the African Council of Optometry. It is also a humble moment to note that Botswana is also represented for the first time at the Public Health Committee of the World Council of Optometry. BOA leadership has also sponsored the annual trophy to the best winning Lions clubs in Botswana for eye care service activity in memory of the late Optom Rejoice Mohammadi. May his soul rest in peace. Pioneer in optometry, clinical diagnostic field, Botswana. BOA continues to leap forward under the current dynamic leadership and teamwork of each and every hardworking individual on the executive board. I'm informed that the current executive board not only introduced a unique genetic course that is one of its kind in the African continent, but also managed to acquire a generous sponsorship of 72,347 pula 74 tebe from the course sponsor Novartis, South African division, for the benefit of all the members at no cost at all. Quite a big feat to have accomplished in 10 years. Human genome mapping and the knowledge of genomics has entered the clinical arena of medical practice. Maje DX Academy, India, provides medical genetic services, including genetic counseling, support to families affected with genetic ocular disorders, and also performs research in the field of genetics. Professor Kumar, MD, who is trained in India, United States of America, and New Zealand, works on ocular genomics, genetic counseling, and epidemiology. He has published 125 peer-reviewed papers and has counseled over 12,000 genetic disorder patients. He is the former Deputy Director of Research, Professor of Genetics and Molecular Biology at the global renowned Eye Institute, Shankar, India. He is currently the Director of Research, Narayan Nethralaya, Bangalore, India. He is also the Visiting Associate of Ophthalmic Genetics and Clinical Services, National Eye Institute, USA. The BOA, ladies and gentlemen, genetic course was the outcome of brainstorming of the Education Subcommittee led by Optom Maje and the current executive board of BOA, the mentorship of Optom, under the mentorship of Optom Tanuja Penika, with the Maje DX Academy team, India, led by the internationally renowned genetic scientist, Professor Kumar, MD, on the 16th of September, 2021. This was followed by the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the two parties and course commencement of its first batch of 12 in March 2022. Today, we are celebrating the course completion and handing over certificates to the 11 candidates from the first batch who attended 12 weekly sessions from the 11th March 2022 and appeared for online exams on 23rd June 2022 under the guidance of the internationally renowned genetic professor Kumar, MD. I extend my hearty congratulations to the 11 candidates who shall be receiving their course completion certificates today online. We acknowledge and extend our gratitude for his guidance on genetic counseling in Botswana. I'm informed that BOA Executive Board is working on establishing an exclusive office as per the norms of the new Registrar of Societies Act 2022. I wish them success in the endeavor, as well as the upcoming continuous professional development plan. I further appreciate every individual of the BOA Executive Board for their selfless efforts towards their profession. Ula.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ma'am, for your blessings and for being with us patiently for the whole 1 hour, 30 minutes. We know that you're not feeling quite well and the cool temperature has worsened the health status, but as we know, the person you are, you stood by us even during this challenge. God bless you and your family. Thank you, ma'am. Now we request our other guest of honor, Optom Dr. Shankar and Ramaswamy, Fellow of American Academy of Optometry, Associate Professor of Optometry from Amy's College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences University, Worcester, USA, to share his remarks. Over to you, Dr. Shankar.
Thank you, Tanuja. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, my friends and colleagues in India and my friends in Africa, especially Botswana. It's really a pleasure and real honor to be part of this ceremony. I really thank Dr. Kumar, who is also my mentor, to having invited me for this. I'm also had the pleasure to see Dr. R.Krishna, who also happened to be my educator, and my senior, Dr. Tanuja Panikar, who I met about 16, 17 years ago in Mumbai, when she was practicing in Municipal Eye Hospital. I had a fortune to visit there in Kamatipura, so I could recollect those memories. Even as a PhD student, she was very nice to host me there. So it's really a pleasure meeting all of you. First of all, congratulations to all the graduates. I don't know if you realize the value of this course. For each hour you spend, if you have to get trained in the US, it's between $150 to $200. And as I hear from Dr. Kumar, it's almost like 3 hours per week. So on average, it's like $600 worth of material they've provided. So if you consider 3 months, you've conservatively, you've saved about $6,000 to $8,000 by not actually getting trained in the US, and I've actually got trained in India. And the second thing is a well-known expert, so I'm sure he would have given you all the relevant material. So I just briefly want you to just touch base, just to remind you of your role in genetics and eye care. As you know, optometrists mostly handle the anterior part of the eye, and that seems to be the bread and butter throughout the world. However, as more optometrists are joining the profession, we are becoming more specialized. We are now looking into the posterior segment or the retina and beyond into the brain. So as we look beyond, that means the roles of some of us, not all of us, but at least some of us, needs to be specialized. And one such specialty is genetics in eye care, or gene therapy, or genetic counseling. So as you become more specialized, you will actually realize that you are going to see very specific things that you will be diagnosing and perhaps referring or treating in the future. As you can see from your neighbors in South Africa, for example, they've already set up a committee to improve their optometry into the medical model. World over, optometry is getting pushed into the medical model. That means you're going to see more of the retina and beyond. So, for example, in South Africa, there's already consultation for drug prescriptions and more retinal diagnosis and disease-oriented diagnosis, because most part of the world, optometrists refer patients to ophthalmologists. A lot of things can be managed by optometrists, but it's still being handled by ophthalmologists in most part of the world. But that's changing, and South Africa, if you look at, they're already actually talking to Fulbright scholars in the US, and they've already hired people to actually change their model. So in the next 10 years, you're going to hear more disease from your neighbors, which means you will also have to change that. So in this brief talk, I want to tell you some important things about genetic testing and why we have an eye care. There are two fundamental reasons why we have to probably encourage genetic testing. One is something related to the retina. So usually we perform genetic testing if you are suspecting something in the retina, or if there is a mutant gene or a disease condition that actually warrants a testing of a particular gene. Especially, if you want to predict the probability, if, for example, if glaucoma or age-related macular degeneration runs in the family, then there's the potential outcome of assessing the risks. So there is a huge possibility that gene testing can actually predict who will get it and who will not get it, or depending on whether it's a dominant gene or recessive gene, you can actually have an outcome. The second thing is sometimes you have several types of diseases like retinitis pigmentosa that's caused by multiple mutations or gene defect. That's not just one type. In those cases, sometimes you can have treatments depending on the type of mutation. That means you need to know what type of genetic testing is required, or to find out what is causing this. If you identify the gene or the mutation, then there's perhaps a hope of treating it. Not all the condition could be treated, but now there are emerging gene therapies for specific genes or specific defects or disorders. This essentially means genetic testing will play a role in the future more than ever. The other specific thing why they do genetic testing, at least in the US, is corneal genetic testing, especially if you have to have LASIK surgery or some kind of corneal grafting or other reshaping of cornea. Sometimes it's important to know whether your cornea will actually withstand that, because there is 1 in 10 where the corneal grafting or the LASIK surgery does not actually go well because you didn't actually specifically test certain gene markers. So, especially if there are contraindication and you didn't test it, and still the ophthalmologist went ahead and did a LASIK, sometimes the outcome is not good. Although LASIK surgeries, the outcome is really largely good, like almost 90% plus. Sometimes for some individuals or patients, it doesn't work very well because of the same factor. As I mentioned, these two tie together because there are potential gene therapy opportunities that's emerging in the future. Right now, there are about 10 odd retinal condition or eye conditions where gene therapy is being under trial, and you will hear about them. If you haven't heard about them, you'll hear about them more in the news coming days. So one of the major role for genetic testing in eye care is essentially corneal dystrophies. And age-related macular degeneration is of big interest in many countries because for an elderly, this has been a big cause of decrease in vision, central vision, especially in elderly population across different world population. And the more sun you have or more closer to ultraviolet rays you are, you're more likely to get more age-related macular degeneration. So that being the case in Africa or India, in those countries, you're going to get more sun. That means you're going to get more cataract and age-related macular degeneration. That means we can, identify the different types using gene markers, some of which could actually potentially be treated as well. There are a lot of trials in age-related macular degeneration as well. Apart from that, there are several retinal diseases, in particular cone rod dystrophies and retinitis pigmentosa, which is often called the night blindness, or Leber's congenital amaurosis. These are the potential areas of interest in gene therapy or genetic testing. There are numerous other things that are going on. There are close to 15,000 genes identified just related to eye condition, including mutations. In fact, 2,000 of them have been thoroughly mapped. There's still some genes that are yet to be identified, but largely speaking, compared to most part of the body or the structures in the eye care, majority of the genes have been identified. So that's one of the greatest thing, because in the future, this means we will know more about the disease pattern or the treatment pattern. Glaucoma is another condition that can be passed on congenitally. So that also means, that is another area that you may be referring a patient for, genetic testing. So this is just a small table. I'm not going to read over the entire thing. The key thing is these are some of the common type of disease or disorders that are frequently found in across the population in the world. For example, age-related macular degeneration, you can see there are about 8 or 9 frequent genes, and similarly cataract, you can see there are about 15 odd genes, similarly glaucoma. So these are very commonly seen across by any practicing optometrist across the world. Similarly, myopia is another big thing that's coming up, and several genes have been identified for that. And retinitis pigmentosa, Stargardt's disease, these are specifically found in certain population where there's inherited condition or consanguinity or marriages within close family. So similarly, optic neuropathies or few other conditions where you find the vision to be comparatively impaired, and identifying the gene kind of helps you know the prognosis. It doesn't mean we can help all the patient, but at least it gives you a fair idea of whom you can help and whom you cannot help. So the current recommendation on genetic testing is slightly a little more complex, but the American Academy of Ophthalmology gives you some guidelines on whom to test and what not to test. So generally, if you're an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, let's say you know where to refer the patient, then you don't actually refer every patient to genetic counseling. That's something you need to be very, very careful about. So you offer clinical testing only if you specifically know that you are going to benefit by diagnosing something, or the patient is going to be benefited. So generally, single gene identification is a lot more easier than trying to find out a complicated condition. And also, as Dr. Kumar mentioned, there are several complex tests. There are several specific type of mutation. Unless you specifically know what you're looking for, you should order a very specific test. If you just order a general genetic test, you have to do 20 different tests minimum, and the cost is prohibitive. The cost is super expensive for the patient. So the other thing is sometimes, these days, patients read up in the internet and says, "Doctor, can you help me actually order this particular test?" And that's not possible. Do not actually encourage any self-diagnostic or direct consumer genetic testing because the patient wants to have some kind of testing. Unless there is guideline, unless you know specifically what you're looking for, unless there is a specific benefit to the patient, something like an open-angle glaucoma or macular degeneration, where you're specifically looking for a certain subtype or treatment opportunities, generally be careful in referring to genetic testing, which also means you have to establish a good rapport with a nearby clinic or a genetic testing center. It's always helpful when you have a professional relationship. They'll tell you whom to refer, whom not to refer. And often you'll be seeing a lot of children or young people, they can't make a decision for themselves. Often their parents are making a decision based on their financial situation. Sometimes people are rich, so they may actually push for a genetic testing. So in these cases, just refer them to genetic counseling first. The other important thing you should remember is across cultures, depending on whichever country you live, genetic testing is extremely prohibitive and very substantial. It causes substantial cost. So you have to be very careful and explain to the patient the process that you may have to undergo genetic counseling, possible gene therapy or treatment opportunities. And if they have insurance, sometimes it may cover. But more than anything else, before you refer a patient, you should understand that who pays for these tests. You need to really know, because some patient can afford to pay it. Many times you have to understand who benefits from this. You're not referring some patient because it's beneficial to you or the genetist or the lab which is doing it. You really have to think in terms of whether it really will help your patient in terms of outcome. So sometimes, as I mentioned, in some countries or some situations, the insurance company will take part of it, but that's not always the case. Most times the patients are paying for it. So that's something you need to remember, that it is actually an expensive affair. The gene therapy is even more expensive affair, but at least even for genetic testing, most young ordinary patient population compared to an eye exam is comparatively expensive. So these are things that you need to keep in mind when you are actually referring a patient. So the next new opportunities that you have to look forward or keep in test is gene therapy. Gene therapy is a big thing across different disciplines these days. So the next frontier is obviously treatment of acquired and inherited eye disorders. And I say gene therapy, it means it involves intraocular delivery of genetic material to a dysfunctional gene product. You can't always do gene therapy to all the conditions. There are several animal model studies where they've studied what works and what doesn't work. Some of them are being tried in human models, but you have to remember, in some condition, you can activate the gene using signaling factors by incorporating gene therapy. But if there is no viable cells during development process, if there is a terrible mutation, then you can't necessarily do gene therapy. So gene therapy is not for everyone. It's not for every condition. There are several ongoing trials in inherited and acquired retinal diseases. Most of this is happening in US, some in Europe. I'll show you some important eye disorders where gene therapy is happening. So the left column actually tells you the disease. The second one is essentially the companies or the universities that are running it. This is the phase of the trial. This is a specific gene, and some kind of publication information is given on the right. So I'm going to just read some of the diseases that you may hear or come across. One is Leber's congenital amaurosis. Similarly, X-linked retinoschisis. And then achromatopsia, where you don't have the cones and you have difficulty with bright light levels. So these are the key disease conditions where gene therapy is in progress. They have worked in animal models. They are being tried in human models as well. Similarly, red green color deficiency has been cured in a squirrel monkey 10 years ago, and that's now into human trials as well. That means even color vision defective has a potential to be improved or cured. A lot of which will come in the next 10 years or so. Similarly, choroidemia and retinitis pigmentosa, Stargardt's disease, and age-related macular degeneration, there are several clinical trials where gene therapy is in progress. I just want to highlight these 6 or 7 conditions because the gene therapy is not necessarily happening for every eye condition, because you have to know a lot first right in animal models before it comes to human models. So the next 10 years these are the common eye disorders or disease conditions that you're going to hear basically from the media or the scientific publication on the improvements or potential for it. If you need more information about some of these conditions, it's usually there called Genetic and Rare Disease website. You can actually go to the Rare Disease Info. This is from the National Institute of Health in the US. There's a lot of information about genes and health in general, as well as some of the rare diseases. So the ocular condition is only a smaller part of the bigger world, because many times patients have multiple complex mutations in their body that's reflected in multiple parts of the body. So the ocular system is one important part, but it's not everything for survival, because there could be other mutation that could essentially kill a patient. So there are many other things to worry about. Just to show you that there are many things that is occurring in the recent years, especially the last decade or so. For example, they've cured diabetes in a dog. Similarly, this is one of the famous study, as you may know. This is the study where they did gene therapy in a monkey called Dalton. So it was a colorblind monkey, And after the gene therapy, it was able to correctly identify the color. You can actually see this in the video. I hope the video works. So what the monkey here is doing, it's called the squirrel monkey. So every time it correctly touches the color with the nose, it gets actually, a feed. So it's actually eating the feed. So it's like every time it answers, it actually gets a food. That's what it's doing. They've been trained this monkey, and they found that actually this dichromatic monkey became trichromatic, meaning 3 functional cones. So that's one important thing I can show. Here is another one. This is about the treatment for retinitis pigmentosa.
It's a rare inherited eye condition which eventually causes severe tunnel vision. Scientists have been using a new form of gene therapy on patients to try to halt further loss of sight, but they've been astonished to find that it has also improved their vision as well. Here's our medical editor, Fergus Walsh, and just a warning, his report does include images of an operation.
Look up. Jake has been gradually losing his sight since birth, but no longer thanks to a groundbreaking gene therapy.
Just being able to see facial features on my own face is something that I never used to be able to do.
Jake from County Durham has a rare inherited condition, which means his central vision is largely a blur. Since his right eye was treated a year ago, his peripheral vision has improved.
I'm in the best place I've probably been in 24 years of life. Last year, for a lot of people, was a dark and miserable year, but for me, it was probably easily the best year of my life.
After a year's delay due to COVID, Jake has now had his other eye treated at Moorfields Eye Hospital in London, which it's hoped may further stabilise and perhaps improve his vision. The one-off gene therapy called Luxturna is delivered via injection. It costs £600,000, but the NHS has agreed a discounted price with the manufacturer Novartis. The injection delivers working copies of a faulty gene, RPE65, into the retina at the back of the eye. The DNA is encased in a harmless virus which breaks into the retinal cells. Once inside the nucleus, the replacement gene kickstarts production of the RPE65 protein, essential for healthy vision.
This is really transformational. It provides an opportunity, provides hope for people, not only with this specific condition, but people with other similar conditions, hope that they can protect their sight in the long term.
I keep noticing subtle improvements. I noticed one today coming into this park. I noticed that there are railings above the entrance to the gate.
Matthew from London has the same rare inherited condition and has had one eye treated. The second operation is next month. Age 48, his vision had already deteriorated much further than Jake's.
I lost my central vision about 10 years ago, and that had a really severe impact on how I live and who I am. If the treatment means that if it puts off another decline like that, then that's going to be amazing.
Matthew's wife has noticed he is more independent.
He doesn't have to ask me every little thing. Is this on the right setting? Is that, the washing machine, the coffee machine, those things that are just everyday people take for granted, Matthew can now do himself.
Around a dozen people in the UK have received the gene therapy, including several children, who stand to benefit most as it may halt their sight loss before permanent damage is done. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
It's a rare inherited.
This is on A scale.
Each time Tara Cataldo prepares to leave her house, she has to make sure her face is completely shielded from the sun.
I need to have very dark, very specially tinted sunglasses to feel comfortable outside and to see really well.
Tara has achromatopsia, a genetic condition that makes her eyes incredibly sensitive to light. She's also very nearsighted. Even while wearing glasses or contacts, she can only see clearly at a very short distance.
I cannot drive a car, so I rely on public transportation and my bike to get around.
There are currently no approved treatments or no effective treatments for achromatopsia.
Surgical ophthalmologist Christine Kay is working to change that. She's one of a handful of experts testing a gene therapy.
For achromatopsia, the cells that we have to target are cone cells responsible for decreased vision and color vision, and those are cells in the very bottom layer of the retina.
Using a tiny cannula, doctors deliver a normal copy of one of two mutated genes, the CNGA3 or CNGB3 gene, directly into the eye, restoring vision. Tara's myopia is so severe that her risk of retinal detachment from any retinal surgery is high, which rules her out for the current trial. In the meantime, Tara says she's learned to adapt to achromatopsia and live without limitations.
And I hope, all young acromats, learn that same thing.
I'm Marty Salt reporting.
I'll skip this because it'll take another few minutes. So I'm just going to skip this. So I just want to summarize this just to say that the genetic testing actually plays a very increasing role in modern eye care. As optometrists, some of you got trained, a very lucky bunch of individuals. That means you have to actually spread this team so that, when you get a chance, you can actually inform the patients or their parents and actually refer them to appropriate genetic counseling or therapy, etc. So it makes sense for optometrists to familiarize more with the disease aspects of some of these diseases, as well as the genetical aspects. So that makes you think, if I reproduce with a spider, will my son be a Spider-Man? Well, that's for you to think about. I really thank you for this opportunity to be part of this occasion. I really thank everyone for inviting me. And I know you're all waiting for your certificates, but thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Optom Shankaran. Genetic testing indeed is playing an increasing role in modern eye care. What the mind does not know, the eye does not see. Appreciate you running us through the genetic test and gene therapy and cost implications. Yes, we are waiting for our certificates to be handed over. So I hand over to Professor GKM.
Thank you, Tanuja. So let's decide how we are going to do this, Tanuja, so that what I was thinking was that we'll call the name of the graduate and we can showcase the certificate on the screen, and then we all can congratulate the individual. Will that be okay?
Yes, I think we all should open the video. So as you mentioned that we should be taking photographs, and as you call out, even the candidate receiving it should open the video.
So we request all to open your video camera so that we'll be able to see your image and then take a photograph of all of us. Please come over on the screen with your camera open, please. Thank you. So Deepika and just maybe you can all open up your camera so that we can take a picture of all of you on the screen. Not everyone has come. Maybe we can call the name.
Mine. My camera is not opening up.
Okay, if it's not able to do, that's okay. Don't worry. So the rest, if you can come online with the camera, that we. So from my side, there's one more person who's joined. Vaishvi has joined from the Maje DX team. So still, was that Aliza who said that you cannot open?
It's Dineo.
So this is very. Video.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, you only have. Wait. Okay, let's say Deepika has not opened the camera yet. There are a few more. If you all can open your camera, then we'll be able to take a snap of all of you. Kindly hold on to the camera. So we will start the ceremony, and we have to know. Sugita, will you be able to share the certificate?
Yes, doctor, I'll be sharing the certificates.
Okay, as I call the names, if you share the certificate, that will be good. Okay. So on behalf of the Botswana the Optometric Association and the Maje DX company, we like to congratulate once again all the graduates, and we will be calling your name, and then we'll be showcasing your certificate on the screen, and that will be done for a minute for everyone, and we all will congratulate the graduate as their certificate is being shown on the screen. So we're going to start to call the names, and we're going to call out 11 names, and we start with Optom Dinio Morimi. Congratulations, Dinio.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dinio.
Thanks, everyone.
So we call upon the second graduate, Optom Gosigo Ingwigwa. Gosigo.
Hello, everyone. I'm a bit sick, sorry. Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Gosigo. Move on to the third candidate, Optom Flo Siako.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Flo. And we move on to the next graduate, Optom Eliza Kathleen Taylor Botha. Eliza.
Thank you. Really appreciate everything.
Congratulations, Eliza.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we move on to the next graduate, Optom Tanuja Panika Naika. Tanuja.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tanuja. We move on to the next graduate, Optom Boago Modistan. Boago.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Boago. We move on to the next graduate, Optom Gosimong Siboko.
Blessed evening, and thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you. And we move on to the 8th candidate, Optom Olibol Kihimiswe.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Thank you. And we move on to the 9th optometrist who graduated, Optom Tato Intla. Tato, congratulations.
Hello, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tato. And we move on to the next graduate, Optom Ankit Sharma. Congratulations, Ankit.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Team Maje. Thank you so much.
So we move on to the last candidate who graduated, Optom Sigo Lem Lajini. Congratulations, Lajini.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
So we congratulate all those who graduated today, and feel free to practice your genetic knowledge that you have gained, and feel free to contact any member of our team if you need further help. Thank you, and back to Tanuja.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and My Gene Diagnosis for the handover of certificates and also the training. We acknowledge the well wishes from Zimbabwe Optometric Association. They just mentioned their well wishes on the chat. I would like to invite Optom Tato Entula. Tato is a member of the executive board, and he's also the member of transport subcommittee and the education subcommittee of BOA. I would call upon him for rendering the vote of thanks. Tato?
Yeah.
So we'll take a photograph all of us right now, and each of the screen before the vote of thanks.
Sure, sir. Tato, can you please wait for a few
Everybody
minutes?
kindly come back on the screen. Come back with the video so that we can take a photograph and share it with all the graduates so that they could keep it in their memory. So if all of you can kindly join on the video, then we can take a photograph. So Shankar, you have to join us if you can on the video. Yeah, okay. So Tanuja, maybe you want me to do it? Click the screen, or you can do it?
We have done a couple of shots. Please do it from your end also,
done.
sir.
Yeah. I just click. There are two screens actually. There are roughly about 40 members attending the program. So I'll take two of these screens, one each, and I'm taking the first screen. We'll take the second screen now. And I'll share both of them into the chat box to all of you, and we can go ahead with the next program.
Over to you, Tato, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Optom Tanuja, for this day. You have led it very well. Good evening, all. On behalf of the BOA, which is Botswana Optometry Association, it's my privilege to give a vote of thanks on this special occasion. We have the AFCO President, Frank Magupa, the AFCO, which stands for Africa Council of Optometry, and then we'll have the AFCO President-elect, Optom Dr. Ayukotang, I think I pronounced the name well, Dr. Krishna Kumar, and Mr. A.Mahalingam. We acknowledge their presence and their well wishes. I would like to thank our distinguished guest speaker, Honorable Kokorwe and Dr. Shankar, for sparing their precious time to be with us today. They could be doing some things, but they found it fit to be with us. The special thanks also goes to Dr. Kumar and his team for enhancing our understanding pertaining to genetics in our profession. I cannot forget our sponsor from South Africa, the Novartis from South Africa. Also the education subcommittee head, Optom Maje, we thank you. Optom Tanuja, which is the Botswana Optometry Association chairperson, we thank you, and all the BOE members. Without your participation, we wouldn't be here. So thank you all. Have a blessed night.
Thank you for your well-worded vote of thanks, Optom Tato. Over to you, sir. Professor.
A big hand to thank you, everyone, for taking part in this event and honoring and those who have graduated. And my special thanks goes to Tanuja, who has really put in so much effort and coordinated with us and got the sponsorship so that there are many optometrists, particularly all the optometrists, could have an opportunity to learn the cutting edge science of genetics so that they can have it practiced so that their patients are benefited. So, and also all the students who attended the program despite all kinds of odds, and some of them are in fact traveling by their car before they could come and reach the classes that we were running. So it was a wonderful time that we had. It was a good experience. My first contact to the continent of Africa, and I really enjoyed it. And there are a lot of things India and Africa have in common. We have large populations, we have poverty, we have a lot of diseases that are communicable, nutritional, and we are slowly changing, and therefore we should be helping each other. And we in Maje DX and the rest of the team members, will be very happy to help Botswana as well as the rest of Africa in whatever help they need to benefit their patients. Thank you, and back to Tanuja.
With your permission, we can we end the program here?
Yes.
To call it a night. I know you've been working from 9:30 at night, you and your team. Thank you for everything, sir. We look forward for your sessions for the next batch and the successive batch.
Yeah,
thank you all for being here. Sure,
like a personal thank our team.
Thank
also.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all the graduates. And thank you, Shankar, for joining from the US.
Thank you, and congratulations to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, all.